Today, we're behind the scenes at Burrow in the North Loop of Minneapolis. It is an upscale American eatery, and we are with Charlie Award-winning pastry chef Karen Tomlinson. So I've actually eaten your pastries and baked goods, and they are worth bragging about. So how do you choose the desserts for your menu?
I always like to have some very down-to-earth American staple items, and the one that's most special to me is the apple pie. The apple pie is something that is kind of like a love language for me. My grandmother, who's now 93, taught me when I was just a little Karen how to make apple pie, and I still think she makes the best apple pie I've ever had. But it is her apple pie recipe, and every time she comes here, she checks on me to see if I'm still doing that.
That's awesome. Let's get started.
All right. The first step that I start with is getting the apples ready. I like to use tart, firm apples. Granny Smiths are a great option. They're available year-round. So we start by peeling them. I think the key is, if you're doing a lot at one time, do everything, do all the peeling, and then do all of the chopping. One operation at a time, and that makes it go faster.
Got it.
So I like to cut off the sides like this, then cut off the short sides. And then once you've done that with all of the apples, you can line up these the little short guys like that, and then cut them into pieces about this size. You don't want them too big, or else they'll take up a lot of space in the pie and they won't cook that evenly. There will be a lot of air in between. All right, I have 4 apples right here. These are pretty large apples. If they're smaller, I use about 6. But bottom line, a little bit over 4 cups of apple.
Okay,
cubed.
when it's chopped up.
When it's chopped up. So next I'm going to get the pie crust ready. We're going to start with 2 cups of AP flour.
What's AP flour?
All-purpose.
All-purpose.
And then this is about a ½ teaspoon salt. A little bit will help kind of give it some life. Then I have lard. This is my fat of choice for a pie crust. It makes it flaky and light, unlike anything else.
And that was how much? You said a cup or a half cup?
That is a scant 2/3 cup. So about in between.
A scant.
Yes, I'm giving you my grandmother's recipe.
Okay.
That's what she told me.
So it's a smidge under 2/3.
Yes.
Scant, smidge.
Yes.
Yep.
More than a ½ cup.
Okay.
Yeah. You can also use knives to do this, to cut in the lard, but I like to use this. It goes pretty quickly. So you basically just smush down the lard into the flour, but you can knock the lard off if it sticks in. Keep going like this until you get little pieces, because we're going to add a little bit of liquid to it, and that's when it will actually come together.
Maybe in the mound.
That's right.
Okay.
And now here I have 4 tablespoons of water and 1 tablespoon distilled vinegar. So that's just kind of a secret old farmhouse trick for making pie crust.
I've never heard that before.
I think the best tool for incorporating this is just a fork. And this is the part that you don't want to do too much. You want to stop when it looks like you could gather it together in your hands and form a ball out of it. That is going to be good to go. We'll be able to form that into 2 balls, about even in size, and that'll be the base. I'm not kneading it like bread dough.
A lot of times when I've tried to roll out dough, it's like a sticky mess. I'm not good at it.
Well, and I just like to have flour nearby, so that if my hands are kind of messy and I need a little bit more, it's sticking to the surface, that I can just, use that. So what I like to do is kind of pre-formed into rounds like that. So you make sure that there's nothing sticky on top, really. No sticky spots. If there are, just cover it with a little bit of flour, and then you start rolling like this. There are spots where it's going to want to tear.
Yep.
What you can kind of do is just encourage the flour towards each other. You don't have to patch it necessarily. Just kind of use your hands to line that up. All right, those are both going to work. Okay. And now, one thing I like doing if I'm not using a pastry cloth is just kind of putting a long, flat spatula underneath the crust to make sure that it won't stick. That is the most frustrating thing.
I was just about to say that's going to be very frustrating.
Right.
Yeah.
If it happens, it's not the end of the world. There's always a way to fix it. But now I'm going to lift it.
You use your rolling pin to lift it into the pan.
Exactly. So now we just put in the apples. We're going to mix together the filling, which will kind of give it the gooey, saucy part, and it'll keep the apples together. So I have a cup of sugar here, 2 tablespoons flour, all-purpose flour, a little bit of salt, about a ½ teaspoon of salt. That is a really important ingredient. If you don't have that, it will not taste very good. and then just a little bit of cinnamon. Just kind of mix that together a little bit, and you just pour it on top and just kind of smooth it around. You don't need to worry too much about being even because it's all going to heat up and melt together.
Yes.
So I have about a little more than 2 tablespoons of butter, and that will give the sauce its good flavor and rich consistency. I like to do a little bit of water along the edge of the pie, and this will help it seal together easily. So now we just roll this up, and with confidence, we bring it over right on top of this pie. Oh, not too bad. And then just kind of press it down on the edge that we just put the water on. Now I'm going to go around and trim off some of the excess here. I'm going a little bit farther out than the edge of the pie plate.
And then you're just turning up the edge all the way around.
That's right. I'm turning it up, and at the same time, I'm kind of sealing the pieces
Yes.
together.
Yes.
What I like to do with the edge is simply use my 2 pointer fingers and kind of pinch them down with a little bit in the middle, so that kind of leaves a piece coming up like that. So we're going to just do a little hole in the middle, and then I'll just do 4 little almond sliver slits, and this will help the steam escape as the pie is cooking. And then all I do before I bake it is just sprinkle it with a little bit of sugar and cinnamon. I bake it for 15 minutes on 425. After 15 minutes is up, you simply turn it down to 350, and
Just
that
let
will
it
work
settle.
out. Just let it settle. You know that it's done if the sugars have gone onto the pan and they're starting to turn brown and
Yep.
kind of caramelize, then you know, oh, that pie is going to set up. It's going to be just right on the inside.
Perfect. Karen, that looks delicious. I cannot wait to try a slice. Can I try a slice?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for teaching us this recipe. I think I can even tackle it.
Oh yeah.
For the recipe and an extended version of this segment, visit thehappyhouse.com.